Legal Dose is a production of the Civil Rights Clinic at the Charlotte School of Law. None of the views expressed herein are necessarily the views of the clinic, its members, or the Charlotte School of Law.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Legal Dose, a part of the Charlotte School of Law Civil Rights Clinic. My name is Emily Ray. I am a clinic member, and today we're talking with Daniel Melo and Isabel Carson about their experience at Charlotte City Council meeting and their presentation to the board of their take on the Charlotte Civilian Review Board. So we're just going to talk about their experience and what direction the clinic will be taking next on this project, which has gone from 0 to 60 in a matter of a couple weeks. So my first question, Isabel, thank you for being here today. What led to the City Council meeting?
Well, I believe we started this project, researching this project about 3 years ago, and I think we've made good contacts with the Charlotte Observer. I think our supervising professor, Jason Huber in particular, had probably put the bug in the ear of a couple of Charlotte Observer reporters. And then an article came out in the Charlotte Observer back in, I guess it was February, and it gave some pretty outrageous statistics about, not outrageous, accurate statistics, but outraging, that in the 16 years that the board's been going, has been in existence, out of, I believe it was something like 78 complainants had been filed and 0 had been cited with the citizen. The Observer article just really sort of sided on the side of the citizen and said, hey, there's something wrong with this picture. And since that one article, within about a month, 6 more articles were in the Charlotte Observer, one of which was a call from Mayor Fox asking the city to re-look at the Citizens Review Board. And so we really amped up this research project that started 3 years ago, and that's how it all came before the City Council.
And just to give a brief recap for any listener who's not 100% sure, what's the kind of a quick explanation of the Citizens Review Board?
It's a board that was developed in response to police abuse. Back in 1997, there was an incident of police abuse towards 3 African-American unarmed civilians. Police shot and killed these civilians. So in response to that egregious misconduct, the city decided to develop this review board. And basically, the process is a citizen can make a complaint about misconduct to the police. The Internal Affairs Department will then investigate and then decide whether to discipline that officer and inform the citizen of their decision. A citizen then, if they're unhappy with the decision, can appeal to the Citizens Review Board. And the whole idea is that the Citizens Review Board is this neutral third party that looks at internal affairs investigations and looks at all the facts and documents that the citizen provides and determines initially whether the citizen has proved by a preponderance of the evidence that the chief of police abused his discretion, and we can get into that good technical stuff later. And then if they meet that initial hearing, the review board, only if they meet that initial hearing, the review board provides a full hearing. And in 16 years, only 4 citizens have had a full hearing in front of the review board.
Out of 78?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you. Well, Daniel, I'm going to turn to you and just a personal question. As a law student, what was it like to present your concerns to the council, to stand up in front of this Council of Charlotte?
I mean, to be honest, it was kind of terrifying. You know, you practice and get all that stuff together, and yet no matter how well you think you know your stuff, you get in front of the spotlight a little bit and you're like, but it went incredibly well. It was actually just a really powerful experience to get to address a crowd and something that really requires and needs meaningful change.
And so what was the change that you asked for? And this can be open up to both of you because I know you both spoke. So what change did you ask for specifically, and also kind of what is your goal with this project as the council takes this under review?
Well, I spoke more as to the transparency aspect of the review board. Currently, there's only a little little paragraph about the Citizens Review Board on the city website, and the basic process is not really even outlined. Very few people know much of anything at all about it. And so looking at other review boards throughout the country, we decided that we need to change the review board in such a way that there is information available about how the process works, how to file a complaint, who's on the board. There really needs to be an independently maintained website in order for people to better be able to access the process. By giving the review board a very transparent nature with its interactions with the community and with the police, we hope that trust will begin to be rebuilt between the community and the police.
One thing that I found interesting after you gave your presentation, Patrick Cannon suggested what he took away from that transparency was that we should post a link to the current ordinance that created the Citizens Review Board. But if you think about an everyday Charlottean, an everyday citizen, no one has the patience or necessarily capacity to understand the technical language that's spelled out in an ordinance. So the fact that that's all that was taken away initially from Daniel's move towards transparency, which is apparent in all civilian review boards across the nation, as Daniel just said, was a little disheartening. But we're hoping that because there's a stakeholder process being outlined right now, which we're currently not clear in who the city manager is reaching out to for the stakeholder process, we hope that our study is going to be incorporated into that. And by transparency, we don't mean give citizens access to a law with technical jargon. We mean tell them what the review board's doing in layman terms. Spell out the minutes for the review board. There are a lot of other changes that we see in our goal, but right now we are compiling a comprehensive and concise, because it's my understanding that as soon as a committee sees a 50-page report, they're just going to turn it over and not read it. So concise, to the point, and specifically articulating the components that we feel should be added to effective civilian oversight.
So you asked for a bigger step. They gave you about a baby step on putting the link. So maybe they're open to the transparency idea. They just need some guidance from the clinic and other members of the community about what being transparent means. And it's even if if you think you're being transparent and posting a law that would be confusing to the everyday reader, that's not really transparent. Doesn't really give them the information that they need. So Isabel, you mentioned a study. My next question is kind of what's the next step for the clinic? And as you move forward, you mentioned there's a stakeholder process. I was at the meeting. I'm not 100% sure who they're putting on this stakeholder committee, if it is a committee, how long it's going to take. I remember Mayor Fox indicating 90 days maximum to get a report from the stakeholders. But what do you see the next step? What steps is the city going to take? What are we going to do as a clinic to integrate ourselves into this process moving forward in order to enlighten the council on what's being done around the country and what is maybe the gold standard that they should adhere to?
Our first step is Daniel helped us in drafting a letter to open the lines of communication with City Council and the City Manager. I think the new City Manager is who's in charge of developing this stakeholder process. There's been nothing publicized about it, so it's hard as a citizen, and you would think the stakeholders are the citizen in a citizens review board. It's hard to see how citizens are aware of this stakeholder process. But our goal is to open the lines of communication with the city manager to emphasize that we want to be part of this process. Also, the mayor suggested to the city manager and to the Civilian Review Board that they conduct a study about the different committees throughout the nation. Well, we're on top of the game. We've already conducted this study, and we're in the process of compiling about 100 jurisdictions worth of Citizen Review Board committees. And our hope is that once the lines of communication are open and they see that we have put time and effort into this and we are doing it for the good not only of the citizens but for the effective established trust of citizens and the police. To make it clear that this is not an attack on police or on the board members, but it's to establish a functioning society and community in Charlotte. So basically, we just want our study to be looked at by the committee when they're reforming. We will propose a reformed ordinance. as an addendum to the study. We want our voices to be heard, but it's not just our voice, it's our voice for the citizens.
And Daniel, do you have anything to add about, the next step for the clinic and what you think as a clinic we're capable of doing in this process?
Adding to what Isabel said, it's the next process is hopefully getting our foot in the door and actually taking part in the stakeholder process.
As a stakeholder?
As a stakeholder, and I think we have the potential as a clinic to really segment, to really solidify our status in the community as, a very powerful academic approach towards things. We have the perspective, like Isabel mentioned, we have the time already invested in this, and we have an interest. There's nothing in it for the clinic, essentially, other than seeing trust established once more between the CRB and between the police. So I think there's a huge potential here for us to take part in something very meaningful and to effect very meaningful change.
Well, you guys have done great work as a clinic member. I've seen all of the legwork and the hours that you've put into this project. I know it means a lot to you all, and to the clinic and to the community. And hopefully the city will remain open and keep those lines of communication with members of Glenburg County and beyond as they develop a new system. Is there anything else y'all wanted to add?
I was on Channel 3 News. If anyone finds a link online, please send it my way.
Thanks for listening to The Legal Dose. If you have questions about this or other projects, you can email us at civilrightsclinic@charlottelaw.edu. You can also follow our blog at cslcivilrights.com.